Hello, friends. Welcome to Quilting Unscripted, where the chat is casual about all things quilty. I'm Lynn Wheatley from Lynn Wheatley Design in Vermont.
And I'm Carla from Quilting by the River here in Northern Ontario. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, Carla.
So, how's it going?
It's going good. It's been busy since we last talked. I finished up my on the road teaching down in Gettysburg and returned home to that month of June where we are busy bees working with our new designs for Lumen Fabrics. So both Carla and I are pattern designers for new fabric lines. And the first week of July, quilts are due in California. So we have been piecing and the quilting is starting. And so it's very, very exciting. We get to see all that new fabric before you guys do.
I like it when it comes in on bundles, but the minute you unbox it, and I do believe that at the end of May, I did hold my box up, but I couldn't open it. And we can't show anybody till it goes off and does its thing. And they launch the fabric line.
Right.
But after you open the box, that feeling of like, oh my God, I've got to get this done. And it is literally just a diagram on a piece of paper and some obscure thoughts in your brain that, you're sort of designing on the fly. And I honestly thought today when I was quilting that I'm almost ready to do somebody else's quilt and just be that person that follows somebody else's instructions. Like, how do I press this? Where do I put this one? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely love this part of our little journey every year. We go through this a couple times a year, but it gets very anxious until you cut that first piece. And then once you cut that first piece and you have your plan and you just execute, it's kind of fun to execute it and get it done. This time, one of my quilts is actually in their foundation line. So as soon as the quilt is done, I will be able to show it. And that pattern will get released soon. So anyway, but that's enough about, what we're doing. We're here tonight. It's a very, very special night. We will have Deb Hammond from Haphazard Quilting in Canaan, New Hampshire, visiting with us. And we're going to talk with her all about her journey. And this is one of our series where we interview either a shop owner or an industry person, another professional like us, and find out about their quilting journey and their quilting world. So here we go. Grab your cup of tea and sit back and listen to Deb. Hi, Deb.
Hi.
Yeah, so Deb, we want to hear all about what it's like behind the scenes of your local quilt shop, how it all got started, how the quilting world has changed since you've been a shop owner, what your customers are loving right now. And yes,
Deb loving right now.
Yes. And do you get to pick your fabric first when it comes in? So anyway, and everybody, quilt shops are truly the heart of our quilting community. And I think you'll really enjoy how Deb has really enhanced our community here in the Upper Valley. I live in Vermont, but I live just over the border to New Hampshire. So Deb's my closest local shop. So Deb, thanks for being here today. And let's just dive right in.
Thanks for having me.
So question, how long have you owned Haphazard Quilting? And sort of what inspired you to get started? Has this been a lifelong dream or did it fall into, or what's the backstory here?
So I've owned Haphazard Quilting for 10 years. 2 weeks ago, we just did a 10-year customer appreciation celebration where we had a tent outside and we served hamburgers and hot dogs and cookies and that kind of stuff and did a sale. We had a very busy day and it was exciting. I started quilting when I was about 20 something. I've sewn my whole life. I lived in Seattle and I started taking quilting classes from a lady who taught out of her home. And I absolutely fell in love with it. I always sewed clothes before that. And I thought, this is so much more fun because you can do whatever you want to do, not just you know, what a pattern tells you. Although now that I'm a shop owner, I kind of have to follow patterns, which is tough because I always want to change everything. And I've learned that you can't do that, because if you do that, then you have to tell people who want to buy what you've made, you know, they'll buy a pattern and I've made 10 changes. I realize that I can't do that because now I have to tell them how I did the changes. And I am not a pattern writer. So, but I always thought I'd have like a tea shop or something. And when we retired from the military, we came here to New Hampshire, and a tea shop just wasn't going to cut it. So here I am with a quilt shop.
Nice.
The love of fabric.
Yeah, I have a major problem with that.
Well, it's not a problem. Honestly, she has a really, really full selection of fabric. I love going in there. I love the inspiration I get just by walking through and seeing some of the fabrics and some of the things that are going on. So tell us a little bit more about your shop, what you specialize in, what you carry.
I have a lot of blenders. I have a lot of, do you want names of types of stuff or just generic stuff?
You can just talk about your shop the way you foresee your shop, and what would draw a person into it.
Well, I'm very eclectic. I have a lot of different, like I have a lot of Australian fabric. Hopefully I'll have it for a while. But I have a lot of Australian fabric. I have a lot of Moda. I love grunge, so I have a lot of that. I like to do a lot of stuff with blenders, so I have a wide variety of different types of blenders. I like ombres, so I have a lot of that. And then when I look at collections, I like to get at least 5 or 6 of each type of collection, because not to diss anybody, but when I first moved here and I tried to find fabric, finding stuff that I would find fabric that I love, but there was nothing that went with it. So
right.
My goal was to have stuff that I could match up.
Yep.
So, and I like a wide variety of different stuff. When I first opened the shop, my middle son said to me, "Mom, I think you need to order something besides blue fabric." So I have a whole room here that they call the blue room.
Right.
There's other stuff in there, but there's 2 big, huge areas that's nothing but blue fabric. So
I do believe that I think if I had to be a shop owner, and I have a small retail section on the side of my studio, but it's really hard to order stuff for other people because you see stuff that you like and it calls to you and you're like, "Oh, I like that. I'd like to bring, oh, I like that." And I often think about you guys, the shop owner who tries to have that wide range, even though it's not your cup of tea maybe or something. So hats off to all of you guys who try to do that.
Yeah, it's easy to pick out stuff you like. It's hard to nail what other people like, but the longer you're in business, the more you get to know your customers, I think, and then you can, oh, I know so-and-so would like this or so-and-so would like that. So.
Yeah. Now, what about sewing machines, long arm services? What else is in that shop that we can find when we walk through the door?
Well, I have 2 long arms. I run them 99.9% of the time.
Whenever I call, I can hear one running in the background.
Yeah. I actually came upstairs so that I wouldn't be tempted to run the long arm while I was doing this, because if I do a lot of long arming. I like it most days. There are days when you don't, but most of the time I really like doing the long arming. I have a big classroom. I think it's a big classroom. I may be wrong, but I think it's pretty big.
Yeah.
And I have sewing machines, lots of them. And so if somebody wants to take a class and they have a sewing machine that weighs a ton, like some of them do, I can offer them. It's probably not what they're used to using, but I can offer them a machine to use.
It's a
So,
nice feature for some of the older quilters.
yeah, because they can't carry it. Plus, I
Yeah.
have my dumbwaiter, my husband. He can lug them up and down the stairs. So he probably wouldn't appreciate me calling him a dumbwaiter, but we thought about putting in an elevator, but when we found out how much they cost, we said no. He
Great.
can schlep the stuff up and down the stairs. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Carries
as the
everything.
classroom is on the second floor.
There you go. Yes, and sewing machines nowadays don't have to be old to be heavy. Some of the new ones are awfully large, awfully big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not everybody has the luxury of having a small travel machine. You know, they only
Right.
have one machine that they can do everything on. So talk about a little bit about the classes. So I've taught there. I teach there. You know, you're my local New Hampshire shop. What do you got coming up? I know that it's summer.
This Saturday, which is full, we have a barn quilt class, which is not sewing, it's painting, but and I teach that, and Barbara Gifford helps me. And usually when we have that class, we fill up. So we do it over and over again. My husband prepares the boards and I show him how to grit it out, and everybody always has a really good time. And then in July, we don't have anything because I'm going on a much needed vacation that I have not taken. Every time I've gone away, it seems like it's either been for work or a family kind of issue or situation. So this time it's.
You and Gary are heading out of town and going to have a good time.
Yes, we're going to take a nice long vacation.
That's awesome.
And in August when we come back, we haven't scheduled them yet, but we're going to do a couple of like beginner classes.
Yeah.
But I haven't got to that. So, but we typically try to have at least 2 classes a month. We do a few free motion quilting classes that another person teaches. And I've had people asking for more collage classes. So
yeah, we'll be getting something on for the doc.
We have to get under the ear of Lynn.
Yeah, we got to get on the docket. Yeah, I had a fairly busy first half of the year, and I'm finally coming off of that and getting reorganized again to try and fill the rest of the fall. There's a few spots left, and that's about it. And 2027 is filling fast. So, but yes, Deb, we will definitely get a couple things going for the fall, for sure. What about your team there? You know, I mean, you started this for a long time. You were sort of like a one-person show, but I think you have some people that are key to the operation. Tell us about those people.
So I have Barbara and Gabby, Barbara Gifford and Gabby Courier, who've been with me from the beginning. They help out. Like on my vacation, I couldn't decide if I was going to close or stay open, but they have stepped up to the plate every time and make sure I stay open.
Nice.
They keep the shop running for me when I'm gone. I have Diane, who works here a couple of days a week, and she's thinking about teaching some classes, and she's usually here on Thursdays and Fridays. And then Pam, who is recently retired from nursing, is helping out now also. So I'm still pretty much here by myself. I shouldn't say that. That's not actually correct, but I usually have someone here, but most of the time it's at their convenience unless I'm out of town, and then they step up and take care of the shop. If I know I'm going to be busy, like when we have shop hops or something like that, they always come and help me, which is super nice. And I appreciate every minute of it. I had a young lady, Cora, who worked here since she was very young. Every day when she was when I first opened, she'd come in and she'd ask if she could have a job. And one day I said to her mother, she was about 10 when she first started coming in. I said to her mom, do you want her to have a job? And her mom said, oh, that would be great. So Cora has been here. She graduated high school a year ago now. She did her freshman and sophomore year of college, and she still comes in occasionally now that she's home for the summer, but she has an internship at Hypertherm, so I don't get to see her as much, but she was a fabulous addition to the team. She's super smart and can pick out fabric like there's nobody's business. You'd see a pile of kits that I have on the side if I wanted to pull them out. She helped put all those kits together when we did a mystery. So,
well, and it's small shops like yours where the local kids, you know, I think for a lot of communities, it's those, not the big department stores, but those small, you know, independent people that own the businesses that take the younger people under their wing, because I'm sure had she not been part of the store group, you know, that color coordinating and fabric cutting and all the things that I'm sure she learned over the years of being there and will hopefully carry on. So
I think she will.
yeah, we've got to get those young ones interested because we're not getting any younger.
No, that's right. Yeah.
But she was something else. I miss her every day.
So what about Gary? Talk about Gary. So Gary's her husband. And
Gary's my husband, and he has done a ton of work on this place. When we first bought the building, it was a lot smaller than what it is right now. We gutted the whole entire thing, thank God, because it needed all new electrical. We rewired everything. We hired people to come in to do sheetrocking, and then we painted the whole thing. He built me my front counter. And now he spends all his time either mowing the yard or painting the outside because the outside was quite the wreck when we first opened it, and people thought it was a haunted house. But it's starting to look really good now. And I went away because our youngest daughter was having a baby, and she had an emergency C-section. And so while I was taking care of her, Barbara was taking care of the shop, and my husband was here. And she said to him, you know, she's not going to get more customers if she doesn't have a classroom. And now I have this huge classroom and huge workroom downstairs.
Yeah.
So he has been extremely supportive of.
So for
a long time, people used to say he only worked to keep me in business.
So when we have classes, he brings lunch. So he goes out and gets
people will order lunch and he'll go pick it up.
Yeah. So when you first started with the I think I want a quilt shop thing, what was his response? Because I'm trying to think about my husband and the responses and what, you know, they've put up with Lynn and I, both her husband and mine. So I can only imagine.
So we moved here from Japan, and when we were getting ready to retire, he asked me where I wanted to live. And I told him either someplace I could meet people or somewhere where I already knew people. So when we were searching, I grew up here and moved away, but we came back summer, so I knew people. But I was thinking more like a military community, so the friends that I'd had from other places that we had lived. And he showed me this house, and I didn't think to ask where it was. And I thought, oh, yeah, that is really nice. And so we bought it. And then I found out it was in Canaan, New Hampshire, which is in the middle of nowhere. And I moved away when I was 20, and I've lived in a city my whole entire adult life. So moving to the middle of nowhere was like,
you're bush folk like the rest of us. Yeah.
Right.
So we were here about 6 or 7 months, and he decided he was going to go back to work. And everyone I knew here had a job and was working. And I was bored stiff. So I spent a lot of time at Barnyard Quilting. So much that he thought I was moving in over there. And it was actually his idea for me to have my own because he thought he would get to see me more. Well, it was wrong. Because I work 6 days a week, sometimes till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. So I think at first he thought it was a great idea. I'm not so sure he thinks that anymore. Because when I first would come home and I would sew, because I wasn't as busy, he'd say, "Aren't you tired of sewing? Don't you sew all day long?" And it's like, no, I wait on customers or I long arm. That's not the same thing as sewing.
Yeah.
So, but he has been very supportive, but I think he thought it was going to be way different than what it was. I think he thought I would just, go to work 1 or 2 days a week,
Right.
open when I felt like it. And I told him, if I'm going to do this, this is going to be a business. And I'm not going to just, say to people, "Oh, call me and see if I'm going to be open. And if I'm not, I'll come down if you want to come over." I think that's what he thought it was going to be. And that is not what it is. So,
yeah, she's there.
I think it was. So I didn't argue with the idea.
Right, right.
But it was, he'll say it wasn't his idea, but it was his idea. And maybe I shouldn't let him watch this later.
Oh.
Things change. We all know that. We know that, I've been doing a bit of a tidy up in my studio, and you find that box from the fabric you bought in Paducah in 2000 and shake your head and go, "Oh my goodness, what was I thinking? God, this is not what I want to use right now." You've been at it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have a feeling of what's the biggest changes? Customers then to customers now. What's the big shift that you see them doing?
Well, when I first opened, I didn't have much 30s fabric, and everybody told me that they wanted it. So I ordered it, and it took forever to sell. And then the big prints like the Cape and the Australian, that always sold pretty well. But now people want teeny tiny prints, and they're almost impossible to find. Like what we sewed with in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
It seems like people want that, but it's not here yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's like no matter what you have, customers always want something different because they get this idea in their head, and and I think we all do it. I know what I want to do, but finding it is another whole story.
Thing.
And the digital fabric is way different.
Yes, it is.
I'm adjusting, but I'm like one of those. I'm like my mother, I don't like the change, but I'm going to just have to deal with it, and I'm going to fight it the whole way.
Yeah.
Well, and some of the digital prints don't sew well. Like once you've pierced that ink layer, it's very hard. Well, there's no picking it out and not seeing it after.
Yeah, if you make if it's not going to cooperate, you might as well just say, "I'm not dealing with it," because.
Right. And you got to have a sharp needle. You got to have a brand new needle.
Yep. And I haven't figured out if, like, especially when you're long arming, do you need a bigger needle? Do you need a smaller needle? Do you need a ballpoint needle? I haven't figured it out. I keep, and then you listen to all these things and you take everybody's advice.
Right.
Yep.
Some days you just have, this is like smooth as pie. And then others it's like, forget it. It's just not worth it.
Train wreck. Yeah, I know.
That's the biggest change, I think. And I'm not sure I mean, eventually we'll get used to it, but I'm not sure, I fought it the whole way and I'm not sure I like it, but it is what it is and I'm going to have to deal with it.
So how much of the younger crowd do you see walking through the door? We always look at all these analytics in this industry about, what's the average age of the quilter, and are more people retiring, so to speak, out of quilting than are picking it up? What are you seeing, any changes in that kind of demographic coming through your doors?
I think so. When I first opened, I hardly saw any younger folks, I see a lot more. The difference is they really like to shop online. And if they come in and they want something and you don't have it and you can't get it right away, they're buying it online because that's what they know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's scary because it feels like when I was younger, I taught software application, and the software application kind of teaching that kind of disappeared because kids, when computers first came out, I was the expert. I could do Word Perfect and Microsoft Office and all that stuff. So people who wanted to learn it for their job, they came to me and I taught them.
Yeah.
They would go to a class that I was teaching. And then all of a sudden kids are coming out of school and they know more than you do because they learned it in, 10th grade.
Yeah.
And they didn't need me anymore. And my job kind of disappeared because, the people who needed to learn it I shouldn't say should learn it. The people who didn't know it didn't care and didn't want to learn it anymore because they were, older than me or whatever. The younger kids were coming in and they already knew it. They didn't need me to teach it because they learned it in school. And if they didn't learn it in primary school or high school, they went to college and learned it. So
we're also living in the age of like YouTube videos and Zoom teaching and all that, all the platforms that you can think of, which, I'm going to believe deep down that you can, Zoom and learn all you want, but there's nothing like taking a class from Lynn and I. You're just
exactly. And I get a lot of people
that
who
interaction, that finger that points to that exact spot that you've blown, that you go, oh, we got to fix this. So
I get people who say, I just want you to have a class because I like to socialize with other quilters.
Right.
Exactly.
And hopefully some of the younger generation will come in and say, I want to take a class because I want to connect with people, rather than during COVID, we cleaned out this area and we set up dyeing things and we took these online dyeing classes and had an absolute blast. But it's not something that I would want to do every day. I would rather, do it one-on-one rather than over a screen.
Yeah, that's part of the whole community thing of quilting, is to have that social connection as well as learning a new skill or creating something that you want. There is that person-to-person community that we build. And that's part of the deal.
Part of the 1930s quilting bees that happened when everybody sat around that quilt frame. Yes, they were there to quilt, but it was there because we had a different role as women way back then. It was their chance to get out of the house, get away from the kitchen and the duties that were solely their responsibility. And so that quilting bee was there. And I think that's the glue that's kept us all going.
Yep.
Yeah. Because we just got to put up an old-fashioned hand frame and
sit around with our tea and
eat chocolate tomato soup cake.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Okay.
So what's the most rewarding, or what are the most rewarding things of owning a quilt shop?
I know this is going to sound really hard, but talking to people is the thing I like the best. And I never thought that would ever be what I would say, because you could put me in a room full of people and I would not talk to anyone. And I really enjoy talking to the customers and finding out what they like and seeing their projects. You know, like when you go to guild meeting, show and tell is the favorite part.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of the same thing here, seeing what other quilters are doing and talking to the customers and finding out what they like. And I think,
Nice.
which
Yeah.
would
And
never have been me before.
Yeah. I mean, we have a great conversations every time I've been in the shop. You know, occasionally I get to go in the shop when I'm not like going there to teach. So it is nice to chat and catch up and you know, just see what's going on. And so I would agree that you have a very nice, comfortable shop that's welcoming for that conversation about that project or the grandkid or whatever it is. That
sometimes I think to myself, God, you talk too much. Why do you do that? They probably want to get their stuff and get out of here. But
well, sometimes maybe that is the case, that somebody's more in a rush than not. But I don't know. Quilters tend to like to socialize. Most quilters
tend to like to socialize. Yeah.
They are social people.
I've talked so much in a quilt shop, I left my purse behind and had to drive back. Can't shop when you're hanging on to your purse. Thank God they made crossbodies now. All right. So you're there looking back. If you were to start all over again, anything you'd change?
I'd have done it when I was younger instead of waiting till I was
I remember this
older.
conversation. We had this conversation. She goes, what was I thinking? Starting this quilt shop venture at this age.
Yeah. I mean, I like to work, so it's good for me, but you know, I'm not a spring chicken anymore. But it's fun, so.
Well, it keeps you going. You know, it's your passion. You have a passion for it. And I think that anybody that can find a passion like that, especially later in life, I think that it's good because it does keep them interested, going, driven. You know, you get up every day thinking, you know, well, some days I think you might get up and say, oh my gosh, I got to go to work again. But most times you're excited about facing your day. You're excited about going in that world that you're passionate about. So some people retire and they can't figure out what to do, which I just can't understand. But there are people that do have that problem. And so we're fortunate that we have a passion for something that we can take into, you know, for many years, we can take this passion forward in some form or another. So
Lynn, I told Lynn I'm terrified because if I ever quit, I'd probably just make sourdough bread and get fat.
Yeah, sourdough bread.
Like, maybe I'm supposed to bake something, you know.
That's always.
I'd much rather do this.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to be a sourdough baker. I think, however, I could be a very good like puff ball. I think that wouldn't be a problem for me.
I think I could be an ice cream tester.
Yeah.
Or a cookie or cupcake tester, but other than that, I don't think I'd be happy doing anything other than what I'm doing right now.
Right.
I could travel. I would like that.
Any suggestions for people out there, thinking about starting their own quilt shop besides starting younger?
I don't know. Everybody is different. I'm really happy that I bought my own place and don't have to pay rent, because had I had to pay, you know, yes, I have to pay a mortgage, but I at least owned it. But if I had to pay rent, I would have felt like a failure from the beginning, because it takes a while to get sales and make a profit. Yeah. And don't give up after the first few years, because you might not make a profit the first few years. Right. But eventually it will come.
Especially if you're gutting the building.
Well,
they
yeah, and
did a lot
adding
of
on
work.
an addition.
Yeah. Yeah, the
But
building was, they say, the way I look at it is they saved the building,
Yeah.
is essentially
yes.
what they did. They saved it. It was headed the wrong direction.
And people wanted to know, why did I open a shop way out here in the middle of nowhere?
Ah,
Well, I live a mile up the road and I didn't want to commute.
Right. And it's your community. You know, you grew up there and you have anchor there. It wouldn't make any sense for you to live in Canaan and have a shop in Lebanon. That doesn't make any
No.
sense at all.
yeah. But
So,
you know, I've had the opportunity of traveling through the US several times. And do you remember back in the day there used to be that quilt shop road book?
oh yeah.
Yeah, they still have it.
Oh, do they? Anyway,
Yeah.
we'd plan our route with regards to the quilt shops. And I have driven down dirt roads in the back of, I had no idea where I was going because there was apparently a really cool quilt shop down there. And I always told my husband, because we've always lived out of town in the rural area. Here we call it in the bush. And I said, you build it, they will come because they will find you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
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 So, you talk a little bit about what's ahead. Any new fabric lines kind of come in while you're gone?
Well,
Oh,
I planned it so that it would come when I come back, because it's not. So I just ordered a bunch of cuddle because I sell a lot of cuddle here, and I ordered. For me, it's a lot, like 20 bolts of cuddle to come in the week after I come back from vacation, because I
okay.
didn't want to strap the girls with having
Yeah.
to empty all those boxes and find a place to put it.
Yeah.
And I have ordered some stuff from Northcott, and I'm trying to think of where else, but so I have some new stuff coming in, but it's all not going to come in till either
So,
after August or September or whatever.
yeah, get your shopping list ready for the late summer after Deb gets back and gets all her stuff on the shelves.
Yep.
So I got a technical question for you, Deb. I'm working on with
Okay.
these new fabrics, and some of them are pretty saturated with color.
Ugh.
So what? I got some blues and some reds that they're definitely going to run. So what is your favorite product if somebody has pieced a quilt and then they realize after they've pieced a quilt that they're going to have a run issue when the first time they wash it? What is your yeah, so after it's been quilted, they realize it's, now into a quilt, got brand new fabric. There's those rich reds or blues or whatever, and they know it's going to run. Do you have any kind of like special product or a process that you would suggest that is successful in getting some of the running out of the fabric and not into the other fabrics?
I would say whenever they wash it, throw two or more, or at least two color catchers in the wash.
Yep.
And put it also, if you're going to put it in the dryer, take that color catcher and put it in the dryer. Those seem to work really well. I don't know if you can use the Synthropol or Retain to do any good at that point.
Right. Those are
Because it's
usually
already
used
been
as
processed,
yardage, right? When it's still in yardage.
Yeah, but I would say use the color catcher. I've used them. I use them whenever I wash my quilts, and it seems to be okay.
Okay.
It doesn't work with my husband's t-shirts. Sometimes when I throw something red, he gets a pink t-shirt, but that's because I don't think about it and don't put it in there. But I always do it with the quilt. So
yeah. All right. One question before we close. First, do you have anything else you'd like to add special about your business that you'd like to tell people? Oh, one thing is she's always open on Mondays. Not a lot of shops are open on Mondays.
I'm open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5.
Yep. So she's very steady with that. And so I'm always running out there I'm like, oh, she's open on Monday because nobody else is. And honestly, she's the shop I go to anyway because she's my shop. But she is open on Monday. So if you're, looking for a shop that's open on Monday, got a project that's got to get done, she's probably got the fabric because she's got a lot of bolts. I don't know. How many bolts do you think you have? Do you know that?
No, because I lose count. I should probably count them, but I don't think I really want to know.
So that would be an interesting fact to know about your shop.
Yes. I don't take many holidays off, but I am going to be closed on the 4th of July. Mostly because I start my vacation that following week, but
yeah,
I am. It is a Saturday that I am going to be closed, and typically I don't close, but for some reason this year I'm going to be closed on the 4th.
I think that's reasonable.
Probably so I can pack, but
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say with regards to closing on Mondays, for a lot of us, we travel home on Sunday. So, you've gone out of town with the girls, you do your thing. Okay, well, we'll go home on Monday morning. And somebody says, well, let's go to a quilt store, and then it's like, nope, they're closed. Nope, they're closed. And in my world, sometimes they lose business because they're not
open on
Monday.
And I'm old fashioned. I don't really like the 3-day celebrating a holiday on a Monday just because it gives you a 3-day weekend. Right. That's not celebrating the holiday. That's celebrating having a 3-day weekend.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm open on Monday, even on most holidays. So it's just what I do. And I probably have to work anyway. So I might as well be open for customers.
Right.
Since I'm going to probably be here doing something anyway.
Right. The long arms are running, so you might as well be open.
Yep.
Yeah, because long arming is a big part of our business. So if you could have one color and only one color to quilt with for the rest of your life, what color would that be?
It would probably be blue.
I knew the answer to that question before I asked it, but so why is blue your color?
Oh, I think I lived in Japan when I was 20, and I lived in Japan before I came here, and I love dishes just as much as I love fabric. And the first time I was there, I didn't buy blue and white dishes, and I regretted it.
Oh.
And I don't regret much in my life, but when I went back to Japan before I moved here, I bought a lot of blue dishes. Blue and white dishes. And I like blue and white. Yeah. I don't know why.
Well, it's your color.
Yep.
It's blue is your color.
I don't always quilt with it, but I like it.
Lynn and I have had this conversation a few times about putting up fabric lines and stuff. And, you have to have the rainbow in your store. But when I think about quilts, I think about quilts on a bed. And then you get personal about the thought of making a pink quilt. My husband would look at me and go, that's not going on our bed because it's a pink quilt. You can do browns. Do you really want a all orange quilt on your bed? Not personally, not really. You could do greens, but somehow that blue, the blue in the bedroom or blue is almost one of those colors that everybody can suit to in some form somewhere.
Yeah, it belongs. It almost belongs in every room. Blue can belong in every room, can belong, for your grandmother, can belong to a college graduate, so it can go anywhere, in the back of the car, the blue flannel quilt, for when you get stuck on the road, waiting for AAA to come rescue you in the winter.
Hopefully that never happens.
Yes, hopefully it doesn't. So Deb, thanks so much for visiting with us and telling us all about your quilt journey. everybody, you can find Deb at Haphazard Quilting. Go to haphazardquiltingnh.com. That is the website. You can find out all about her there. And you can ring her up at the store 6 days a week. She's there. So we've really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you guys have enjoyed the conversation with Deb. And feel free to reach out to her to find out about classes or the new fabrics coming in, or if you've just got a technical question like I did for her. She is absolutely 100% willing to help anybody that walks through that door or calls her up. I've seen her more times have somebody come in with some sort of not even a quilty thing, just a sewing thing. And they've come in and she spent time just explaining something that they didn't understand. May not have been something that you got from Haphazard Quilting, but it was something you were working on and that you needed help. So she definitely is all for that. So check her out.
And as always, we always say, support those local quilt shops, because you're not going to get the personalized service, the knowledge background, the laughter, entertainment, or that friendly, warm, fuzzy feeling like you do when you enter a local self-owned, sole proprietor quilt shop in and around wherever you are, when you're driving, when you're visiting. And Deb, you're on my destination go-to.
Yeah. So next time Carl is through this area, we're dragging her out.
Yeah.
So,
good.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on your
You're
show.
welcome, Deb. It's always a pleasure.
Okay, Deb. Thanks, honey. Bye.
Thanks, Deb. We'll talk soon.
You.
Oh, what a treat.
That was wonderful. It was always wonderful to have conversation with Deb.
Yes, those local quilt shop owners. I mean,
they work really, really hard, and it's just they provide so much for us, and sometimes we don't realize it until they're not there. And we see more and more quilt shops are closing, or there's no one that will buy the quilt shop as somebody wants to retire and not work 6 days a week. So definitely support your local quilt shop, give them ideas. And if you're giving them ideas about a class, like, I want a beginner class, or I need to learn bindings, or I want to do English paper piecing, certainly when they come up with that lineup, take that class. Just consider taking that class, because not only will you get the class, you're going to support the local shop owner, you're going to support the local instructor, and you're going to learn more about the skill. And you're also going to have that socialization. And who knows, you might meet a new friend that you might sit and stitch with off on the side.
Yep.
So it's always good to do that. So, okay. What's next?
Another week ahead of us.
Another week. So
summer, we were talking a little bit about what we're doing now, but in the most part, summer for Lynn and I is prep for the fall time.
Yeah.
Couple of new classes on the docket. So I was just talking to Cindy B. We had Cindy on a couple months ago from Espanola. And I was just chatting with Cindy, and I will be at Cindy's. Oh God, that's the calendar. I want to say October. I have to flip here. I do believe it's October. No, we're starting on the 26th of September. I'll be teaching Christmas socks with some piecing, nice little piecing in it. Don't be scared. It'll be fun. You've got me and Studio 180 tools. And November, I'll be doing Alaska. Geez, that was a brain pause. Alaska. So we've got that. I'm in Lively in September doing flying geese for the Lively Heritage Quilt Guild. So prepping all that computer work and the step outs and the planning and the.
So I'm back into the classroom on Saturday this week. I continue my block of the month over and under. So it's month 2 with a couple of sessions of that. And then I do, I got a couple of UFOs. So in July, I actually got 3. I got a UFO on July 11th, UFO class, and then I have my block of the month again,
Yep.
end of July, and then I am headed to Uniontown, Pennsylvania, to teach a Quilter's Choice curved piecing retreat at the lodge at Chalk Hill for Amy's quilt room. So that's going to be fun. And then I'm back home 3rd of August for a few days. I do another block of the month, another UFO class, and then back out to Amy's quilt room for
With me.
a holiday. I'm just going to do probably a couple of demos out there, but I'm actually really on a holiday. So we're actually going out there to stitch.
Yep.
So hopefully you'll hear a lot about that. But yeah, summer's I'm running this block of the month, which I don't usually run during the summer, but we decided to do it, and it was quite popular. It filled, so I'm really happy about that.
I told Cindy about my fabric dilemma and your block of the month, and I think she fell off her chair. So just to clue you in, I purchased fabric to make Lynn's block of the month because I want to teach it this fall. And a couple months ago went in, picked out the fabric, and of course, all great intentions, it got put on that shelf. And I thought a couple weeks ago, I phoned Lynn and I said, guess what? I can't remember what fabric goes where. So I have a pile of fabric and I look at it and I measure it. And of course, I did exactly what everybody else does. And I got
more than you need.
I got more than I needed.
There's no way to tell which fabric goes where because it doesn't match.
And
the
it's funny because I am the person who totes this.
Yeah,
I did not fill out my own form.
Yeah, she has a great notepad about the fabric you need for your projects, but she forgot to bring it that day.
I didn't even come home and fill it out. I don't know. We just get so busy. Anyway, so I have to go visit Cindy for some I want to go for a day and do some embroidery stuff and download some embroidery. I don't know how to do that yet. Anyway, and she said, well, bring the fabric and we'll sit for a while. And then she laughed and laughed and laughed. Anyway, it's just wonderful being us and our multitude of things we try to do in a day. I tell you.
Yeah, so our next episode, that kind of brings us circle around to our next episode. So July 28th, we're going to go live. It's going to be our summer episode. So we're going to talk a little bit about, what we do in the summer. All of us like to enjoy more time outside, even if it's just sitting in the sunroom, or the screen room, or sitting on the dock, or sitting on the deck, or outside on the swing, or whatever. But a lot of us want, we just loved working with fabric in our hands, so we need hand projects. So we'll probably talk a little bit about that and show you what summer entails for us. And honestly, in the summer, if it's 80 degrees out and it's sticky, the last thing I want to do is be binding a big quilt.
Yeah.
So I'm likely to be working on smaller items in the summer. I tend to save smaller projects for the summer. So we're going to talk about that.
We'll cover some things like, what our favorite needles are for the projects that we're doing. And I bought a new kit.
Yep. So
I can't wait.
So that'll be a little bit of fun. It'll be a little departure from our normal everyday. It'll be more of our recreational side of our journey.
I wanted to mention they're on back order, but next month, hopefully we'll have them by next month. I just placed a humongous order and got in all the more rulers, more Studio 180, more. So kind of wonderful. So I'm back up in stock, some Aurifil thread and whatever. But one of the things that was on there was, have you seen the new, just a minute.
She's got her fingers out.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't think she's talking about the snack hands.
No.
Wonder clips.
Wonder clips. They're called double binding wonder clips. And there are 2 of these.
Oh, side by each.
And you clip your binding on them. So, hopefully they'll be in by next month and I'll have had a chance to try them out and show you. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So Yeah, I too have almost run out of, well, no, I did run out of patterns while I was in Gettysburg. I had to do a panic order. Um, Both Ellie's Blooms, Abby's Puzzle, and my block of the month came to the ground zero in the inventory. And so while I was on the road, I had to order, and so that it would be here for when I got back so I could ship back out on that Tuesday when I returned home on the 9th of June. So yeah. So anyway, things are good here. We're gonna look forward to July 28th at 7 and seeing you all again.
Oh, and
So,
if any of the cruisers,
oh yeah,
if any of the cruisers are watching, last night I picked out the 2 blocks that I had reversed and I fixed them and I put them back on because I thought before I forget that I
right.
have a boo-boo in there and I put it away and then randomly pull it out and quilt it, I just better get it fixed. So it is repaired properly.
So kudos to Carla. I have been on a dead run since I got back from the cruise. So other than getting the labels that I forgot to bring, the custom labels for everybody's quilts that
I don't have them yet. They didn't come in.
Yeah, I know. So the shipment to Canada takes a while. I've been shipping patterns up there now, and I shipped a letter up to Carla with the labels for the Canadian quilters. But anyway, so I have just put all the stuff in sort of a holding pattern for when I finally get caught up with everything to get back. So she's ahead of the game. She's finished her quilt. My quilt is still in the block form in 1/4, 1/4, and 1/2 that we used for teaching on the cruise. So I'll get back to it. But yeah,
can we let everybody know that we are sort of in the preliminary discussions waiting for Michelle to get back to us with excursion destinations for 2028.
Right.
So
if you weren't able to join us on the Caribbean cruise in April, hold tight. Hopefully there'll be something coming out in the next month or two. And if
you joined us and you want to come again,
that's right.
Start putting those pennies in that piggy bank, girls, because we're going to do it. I've got Killarney. I just posted on my Facebook page last week. I did.
I also have a couple of retreat spots. I believe there are 2 retreat spots left at my Ellie's Blooms Just Cuz retreat at the Strong House in November, the 5th to the 8th. So if you're interested in that, check that out. And Quilting in Vermont, hosted by the Strong House Inn in Virgins. And love to see you join them.
They're predicting Super El Nino, so I'm not at all concerned about
it. I'm not concerned. Yeah.
You know, the weatherman has spoken.
Yeah, that's right.
It will be a green Christmas. So November is nothing to be concerned about as far as traveling. So I do have spots left for the November Quilting in Killarney retreat. Check out the Facebook page if you want to take a peek of me trying to be a commentator. I tried.
It's a good video. She did a great promotional video for Killarney. So check it out. Join her there. It'll be a blast. Lovely. I love Killarney. Every time I go up there, we go out to Killarney. It is just a beautiful, beautiful place. So
feels really creative.
Yeah. All right. I guess that wraps it up for tonight.
If you have joined us and you don't want to miss another episode, and or always hit that like button, thumbs up, give us a thumbs up so that we can stay on. And subscribing doesn't mean you're paying. Subscribing means that you get a notification in your email box to let you know when you can view or join live. Right. So thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. In the meantime, keep creating. Enjoy the sunshine.
That's right.
Summer here in Northern Ontario has not been all that warm and lovely. I still have my socks on, so I'll let you know when I take them off. And we're hopeful that the warm weather is going to come from Europe and hit us, and we're back into the swing of t-shirts and shorts.
Yep. Okay. So keep creating, stay inspired, and enjoy your quilting journey. Make it your journey. And we will see you on July 28th. Bye, everybody.